My name is Eleanor Carter. I am 62 years old, and until today, I thought I knew what family meant. The aroma of turkey and stuffing filled the air, mingling with the sound of laughter that felt more like a distant echo than a welcoming embrace. We had gathered for what was supposed to be a Thanksgiving celebration, a tradition rich with warmth, yet all I felt was the chill emanating from the room. As I stood by the kitchen counter, my hand slightly trembling while slicing the roasted turkey, I couldn't shake the feeling of being an intruder in my own home. Each snide remark and icy stare directed at me only deepened the wound Amanda had been carving into my spirit. Arrogantly, she loomed over the dining table, arranging the decor as if it were her grand display rather than a celebration we had shared as a family for years. "Mom, could you please pass the gravy?" Robert, my only son and Amanda's husband, called out. His voice, while civil, carried an undertone of hesitation that reflected his discomfort whenever Amanda was involved. I could see that hesitance in his eyes, a lack of backbone that had become all too familiar. I handed the gravy boat to him, my fingers brushing against his, a fleeting moment of connection that quickly faded under Amanda's watchful gaze. "Make sure to get it all, Mom. You don't want us to go hungry," Amanda said with a faint sweetness that made my stomach churn. Whenever she referred to me as Mom, it felt tainted, laced with condescension. I forced a smile, determined not to show how hurt I felt. But inside, each comment chipped away at the love I had endlessly poured into my family. Every face around the table, from the youngest grandchild to the oldest cousin, seemed to share an unspoken agreement. It was now acceptable to treat me as an afterthought. As I watched the fabric of familial bonds fraying, I could hear their whispers, hidden under layers of laughter, about my age appropriateness, about my perceived failures. "Old school thinking, right?" Amanda laughed, her eyes glinting with joy at my misfortune. "Eleanor wouldn't know the first thing about Pinterest." Laughter erupted, but it was not for me. I stood frozen in that moment, caught between the warmth of the kitchen and the cold reality of my circumstances. Flashbacks flickered in my mind, memories of family gatherings filled with laughter and love, where my contributions were valued. No one saw me as the matriarch who had sacrificed for decades, the woman who had poured herself into this family. In that raging storm of emotion, I felt the full weight of betrayal crash over me like a tidal wave. The warmth of the room faded into an unbearable chill as my heart thumped in my chest. I remembered countless evenings spent planning parties, decorating the tree, celebrating milestones, and all for what? To be discarded when convenience demanded it. But despite the anger bubbling within me, I'd learned over the years to be strong, to endure. Standing before that table, surrounded by relatives feigning enjoyment, I grounded myself in the knowledge that I had given them everything. I had loved them selflessly, and my heart ached for what had been lost. They thought they had left me with nothing, I thought, glancing once more at Amanda, who looked almost regal in her position of perceived power. But I was left with everything. The realization settled in, stirring something bold within me that had been dormant for far too long. It was a stark contrast, her greed versus my love, her ambition versus my resolve. The constraints of their laughter faded as I focused inward. I could still laugh and smile, but I knew that deep inside, my time would come. I would reclaim my space in this family, my narrative, my life. No longer would I be a silent pawn in Amanda's game. No longer would I let them dictate my worth. As the table buzzed around me, I took a deep breath, warm memories flooding back. I had nurtured a family that had once adored me, or so I believed. But today I became a witness to the cruel humor of fate. "Eleanor!" someone called, snapping me back. Robert looked concerned, but his eyes fell back to Amanda as she casually slipped her arm around his, anchoring herself firmly in a position I knew I would soon challenge. In the days that followed the chaotic Thanksgiving gathering, I found myself trapped in a small room at the back of Amanda's house, a suffocating reminder of how the once vibrant heart of our family had become a mere shadow. The walls felt as though they were closing in on me, bare and cold, devoid of any semblance of warmth or love. There were no cherished photographs lining the shelves, no bright colors to lift my spirits. Just a simple, cold bed against one wall, a faded armchair that creaked whenever I sat in it, and a small window overlooking the garden I had once tended with such care. Outside, I could hear the distant laughter of my grandchildren playing, their joy contrasting sharply with my solitude. I had nurtured them, watched them grow, and now I found myself reduced to a distant memory, an echo of laughter that faded with every passing day. Each cheerful shout brought a wave of warmth that washed over and crushed me, a cruel reminder of my current exile. As I sat in that chair, the quiet was often deafening, overwhelming me with waves of nostalgia that crashed over me like a relentless tide. Memories sprang to life, vivid and bright, dinners that had been filled with warmth and laughter, when each dish I cooked was met with hugs and smiling faces. I remembered one Christmas when I had spent days crafting a gingerbread house, flour dusting the counters and my grandchildren's giggles filling the air as they helped decorate it with candy. "Eleanor, look at our masterpiece," my eldest grandchild had exclaimed, eyes wide with joy as we stood back to admire our creation. It was a simple structure, but in that moment, it represented love, family, and belonging. Those memories brought comfort, but now they felt like daggers, piercing my heart with every recollection of the laughter that once filled these walls. In the weeks after that unbearable dinner, my mind was consumed by what had transpired. I grew increasingly aware of the rift that had developed between us, a depth of hostility that festered in Amanda's smirking disdain. Her caustic comments cut deeper than any knife. "What's the point of keeping her around? She's just taking up space," she sneered, her tone dripping with contempt during one of her private rants to Robert. The words haunted me, echoing endlessly in my mind. The more I recalled these moments, the heavier the burden on my heart became. I had been stripped of my identity, reduced to a figure of laughter and mockery. I felt abandoned in a house that had once been filled with warmth, laughter, and the sense of family. How had it come to this? During the long nights, dressed in the same threadbare pajamas, I would often replay the events leading up to my humiliation like a movie on repeat, looking for the turning point, the moment I had lost my place. My body felt weary, weighed down with sorrow as I slipped into an endless cycle of despair. One lonely evening, the tears drying on my cheeks, I resolved to make sense of it all. I stood at the corner of my small room, cluttered with my past, and opened a box that had been tucked away for years, a box filled with remnants of a life I had once cherished. Inside were old letters and memorabilia, reminders of who I used to be, who I had loved. As I rifled through old photographs, I stumbled upon an envelope caught underneath a piece of yellowing paper. It seemed to glow amidst the mundane contents. A thin hint of red wax sealed it, aged but defiantly intact. Its weight felt both heavy and promising. Perhaps it housed the key to a chapter of my life that had long since been forgotten. My heart raced as I pulled it from the box, feeling a strange mixture of anticipation and anxiety grip me. Opening the envelope, I recognized my husband's beautiful script instantly. As I read the letter, memories washed over me like a long-lost wave. The warmth of my husband's love enveloping me in a comforting embrace. "Eleanor, my love," he wrote with familiar affection. "If anything ever happens to me, remember what I revealed. Amanda is not who she pretends to be, and you must remain vigilant. There are truths buried deep, truths she would do anything to hide." My breath hitched as the weight of his words landed heavily in my chest. His warning left me feeling chilled. What could he have meant? My heart raced with dread as I reread the passage, my mind spinning with confusion and clarity in equal measure. This letter contained secrets, hidden knowledge that I had never expected to find. My husband had foreseen the rift in our family, and it impressed upon me a burning desire to uncover the truth behind Amanda's masquerade. "I have not been left with nothing," I whispered into the silent room. The realization surged within me, igniting a fire that had dimmed for far too long. I would not be a mere observer of my fate. I would actively steer my path forward and reclaim my identity. As those thoughts swirled around in my head, the idea to contact Mr. Henderson, our family lawyer, crossed my mind. He had defended my husband's interests countless times, offering support and wisdom when I needed it most. He had been my anchor when the seas of family life turned turbulent, and I trusted him implicitly. Taking a deep breath, I picked up my phone, my hands trembling slightly as I dialed his number. Each ring echoed through the empty room like a heartbeat of hope. My stomach churned with anticipation and anxiety as I waited for him to pick up. "Eleanor, it's been quite some time," he greeted me, his voice a lifeline in the midst of my despair. "Hello, Mr. Henderson. I hope this isn't too much trouble," I replied, my heart pounding with both fear and determination. I found the courage to share the letter and my growing suspicions about Amanda with him, feeling the weight of the truth settle into my being. Each word that escaped my lips seemed to reverberate in the quiet space, drawing me closer to a semblance of clarity I desperately sought. "Eleanor, it's not trouble at all. It seems we need to dig into this further." His tone shifted to seriousness, a palpable charge of energy filling the room. "I've been aware of some odd happenings surrounding your husband's estate, and I believe we may need to act cautiously. Can you come into the office next week? We can review the old documents together." A rush of relief cascaded through me as I ended the call, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. For the first time, I sensed the contours of a new trajectory forming before me, a journey where I held the pen. The darkness receded, replaced with the fragile light of hope illuminating my way forward. The shadows may have engulfed me for too long, but I was finally ready to reclaim my dignity. I would unearth Amanda's secrets and confront her with the truth. This was the ember of change I had long yearned for, and I refused to let it snuff out again. During those darkest days, I found a framework that changed everything for me. The complete guide I followed is outlined in the first comment below. It might help if you're facing something similar. The days leading up to my meeting with Mr. Henderson felt electric, each tick of the clock amplifying my sense of urgency. I was on the cusp of unearthing a truth that could shift the tides against Amanda. My heart raced at the thought of not just exposing her deceit, but reclaiming my rightful place in not only the family, but my own life. I could no longer stand in the shadows, silenced and dismissed. In the days prior to our meeting, I scoured through my mind for fragments of memory, hoping to stumble upon precious details that could support my case. I remembered spirited family gatherings filled with love, the sound of my grandchildren's laughter dancing through the air as they tore through presents, the delicious smells wafting from the kitchen as I juggled appetizing meals with ease. Those recollections ignited a fire in me. Each memory was a reminder of the warmth I once contributed to this family. How had I allowed it all to slip away, to be twisted into something so cold and bitter? As the day of reckoning arrived, a nagging anxiety accompanied me, gnawing away at the confidence I had built up in my resolve. Standing outside Mr. Henderson's office, with its oak doors that whispered authority, I drew in a steadying breath. The scent of fresh coffee permeated the air, comforting yet inviting, a reminder that this day could lead me back into the light. "Eleanor?" Mr. Henderson greeted me warmly as I stepped inside. His familiar voice brought an unexpected sense of solace as he motioned for me to take a seat. The office bore the familiar clutter of paperwork, but today it felt different, a haven for the truth that we would unveil together. "Thank you for seeing me," I began, feeling a rush of determination coursing through me. I passed him my notes filled with desperate scribbles of observations from that fateful gathering. "I don't think Amanda is working in our best interests anymore. She's taken things from me, my family, my identity, perhaps even my husband's legacy." Mr. Henderson's brow furrowed in concern as he perused my notes. "You're right, Eleanor. There are several inconsistencies tied to your late husband's estate. I've been reviewing the documents, and it appears that Amanda has manipulated some of the family assets. We need to investigate this more thoroughly." His words struck me like lightning, illuminating the dark corners of my despair. My heart swelled with excitement. Amanda had become not just a rival but an enemy, cunning and manipulative. I had underestimated her resolve, but no longer. The stakes were rising, and as I watched Mr. Henderson's focus sharpen, I knew we were embarking on a mission for justice. "Do you have any information your husband left behind?" he asked, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my pulse quicken. Anything that could point to his concerns about Amanda. I recalled fleeting memories, moments I had dismissed or buried under the weight of distraction. My husband, with his meticulous nature, had kept careful records and correspondence, alluding to deeds and trusts, an arsenal of knowledge hidden from me. "His safe?" I exclaimed. "We have a small safe at home filled with old documents. It might hold critical information." "Excellent, Eleanor. We need to examine that," he urged, a flicker of adrenaline in his eyes as he rose to gather his things. "Let's venture back to your home. Time is of the essence. We'll need to be cautious." As we left the office, a whirlwind of emotions swirled inside me. The anticipation felt almost tangible, energizing me with each stride. I was no longer the ghost of a matriarch. I was stepping into the light of my power, determined to confront the darkness that threatened to engulf me. Arriving at home, the atmosphere felt charged. The house, which had been filled with laughter and love, now lay quiet, a tapestry of memories woven through the tapestries of betrayal. I guided Mr. Henderson toward the small study where the safe lay, anxiety clawing at my insides. When we reached it, the sight of that dusty old box stirred a maelstrom of emotions within me. "There it is," I said, gesturing toward it, the metal frame cold and unyielding. My husband kept it locked. "I don't even know the combination." "Don't worry, we can work it out," he assured me, a comforting presence as he examined the mechanism. "We can start with dates or significant anniversaries. Sometimes it's a birthday or a sentimental number." As he turned the knobs, the familiar sound of the lock moving rattled my heart. Hope mingled with dread. What lay inside could change everything. The safe clicked open, its door creaking like an ancient relic emerging from a long slumber. With bated breath, I leaned over his shoulder as he scanned the contents. A stack of documents lay before us, wrapped in dark leather. A collection of letters, bank statements, and legal papers, all nestled into a delicate layer of dust. I could feel my heart racing. This was the goldmine we needed. "Hurry. Eleanor, let's go through this stuff carefully," Mr. Henderson prompted, handing me a few letters. I unraveled the top note, and as I read it, a chill swept over me. "Eleanor, my love, I have reason to believe that Amanda is not being honest with us. She's aiming for more than just assets. She wishes to eliminate any influence you may have on this estate." My heart plummeted as new revelations simmered inside me like boiling water. The implications behind his words were profound. Amanda had orchestrated a grand facade to push me out completely. Silent but venomous, her ambition had woven a web of deceit. "There's more to this," I whispered, poring over the documents with trembling fingers. Notes about secret meetings. Decisions made without my knowledge. With each file I opened, my feelings of betrayal evolved into a burning desire for vindication. A will here, a trust there. It was all falling into place like pieces of a puzzle I had never realized I was meant to solve. "What do we do now?" I murmured, my voice trembling with both fear and excitement. "I can't confront Amanda with just this. She'll try to spin everything back on me." "Eleanor, we'll need to prepare," Mr. Henderson replied, his seriousness grounding me. "We have to gather enough evidence before we can take action. We'll strategize how we can show the family the truth." The enormity of what lay ahead settled over me, its weight both intimidating and liberating. I was ready to take back my narrative, not just as a mother or grandmother, but as a woman capable of fighting for her rightful place, a woman deserving of respect. "We'll do this together," I declared, feeling the momentum shift beneath my feet. "Amanda will not get away with this. I will stand for what's mine, what's right." As we sorted through the letters, I sensed an ember of courage igniting within me. I could hear the faint laugh of my grandchildren outside, a bittersweet reminder of what I stood to lose. I glanced out the window, determination pooling in my heart. If this story touches your heart, please consider sending a super chat to support the channel. Your messages and contributions help me continue sharing these powerful stories. Together we are setting sail for justice, and I would not waver nor falter against the storm ahead. The days that followed our revelation were consumed by a focused urgency. Under Mr. Henderson's guidance, I felt an exhilarating mixture of fear and purpose. My mundane existence had been transformed into a mission, one that required stealth and precision as we prepared to expose Amanda's deceit. Each day brought me back to that safe, our hidden treasure trove, as I pored over the documents alongside Mr. Henderson, deciphering codes and unraveling deceit. There were bank statements that reflected discrepancies, funds directed to unknown corners, and references to properties that were eerily absent from our family discussions. At times, my fingers would brush against the ink, and my heart raced with every revelation. My husband's foresight had illuminated the shadows of Amanda's actions. "Eleanor, we need to formulate a strategy to gather more evidence," Mr. Henderson counseled one afternoon, glancing out the window as the sun dipped low in the autumn sky. "We should examine the properties mentioned in these documents. If they exist, they might provide more clarity on how far Amanda's ambitions extend." I nodded earnestly, adrenaline coursing through my veins. There was so much at stake, a legacy to be protected, the integrity of my family at risk. "Let's start with the houses," I suggested, recalling my husband's words about the family estate. "We'll divide our search," he replied. "I'll gather the necessary resources, while you keep a low profile. The last thing we want is for Amanda to catch wind of our plans." Unbeknownst to Amanda, I had resumed attending family functions, seamlessly slipping back into the routine of family gatherings. It felt surreal, stepping into her world while feeling a tincture of power bubbling within me. My absence had been noted, but my return was greeted with a mix of pity and curiosity. I wore a smile, though beneath the surface, every laugh from Amanda rang like an alarm bell, each brittle cheer now tinged with falsehood. "You're looking well, Eleanor," Amanda remarked one evening, her voice dripping with condescension as we gathered at a cousin's birthday party. "I hope you're staying entertained in your little exile." I leveled my gaze at her, drawing strength from my newfound resolve. "I'm well, thank you. It's nice to reconnect with everyone," I responded, keeping my tone light while each word felt like armor shielding me from her poison. As I mingled with relatives under the guise of familial warmth, I kept my eyes open for any slip from Amanda, a hint of vulnerability that might suggest her own insecurities. I took careful notes of her interactions and devised a mental map of her relationships, searching for allies or hidden enemies in our tangled web of family connections. Then came the call I had been waiting for. "Eleanor, it's time," Mr. Henderson whispered over the phone, urgency creeping into his tone. "We've uncovered something significant. Meet me tomorrow morning at the office." The sense of impending confrontation made my skin tingle. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I replayed every moment from the past months, the laughter, the betrayals, determined to uncover the final pieces of this jigsaw among our family. When the morning sun crested the horizon, I dressed with newfound confidence. Each motion was deliberate. I wouldn't be underestimated again. As I arrived at the office, the air felt electrified, the anticipation pulsating through the walls. "Eleanor," Mr. Henderson greeted me, his expression serious as he gestured towards a collection of files on his desk. "You're not going to believe this." As he detailed the findings, I breathed deeply, resisting the urge to sway under the weight of the revelations. There are multiple properties, all registered in Amanda's name but connected to mysterious offshore accounts. It seems she has orchestrated an intricate plan to establish her own empire, seizing control of what your husband had so carefully built. The truth hit me like an avalanche, powerful and overwhelming. But why? What could she possibly gain from this betrayal? "Your husband might have left a paper trail, Eleanor. We need to track those properties and confront her with this evidence. We can approach it with a legal angle, inform our family members, and ensure they understand the depth of her ambitions." I felt a swell of fury flood through me, mingled with righteous indignation. Every cheer and word she shares has been a mask, a diversion to hide her motives. But she underestimated me. She thought I would remain silent. "Exactly," Mr. Henderson replied, an approving nod confirming my stance. "Now, we are prepared, and silence will no longer shield her. You are ready to reclaim your legacy, Eleanor." That night, After spending the day meticulously organizing notes and documents, I returned home, my heart racing with the thrill of impending confrontation. The garden stood outside my window, bathed in moonlight and filled with decades of labor. It mirrored my own resilience. I was ready to nurture my roots again, reclaim my space amidst those who sought to uproot me. The upcoming family gathering, scheduled for the following weekend, would become my battleground. It was time to take my rightful place, not as a passive victim, but as a matriarch with unwavering determination. As the day of the gathering dawned, I dressed carefully, wearing the pearl necklace my husband had gifted me, an emblem of our shared life woven with love, but hidden by the layers of betrayal. With each clasp I fastened, I felt fortified, an armor against Amanda's wrath. Arriving at my son's home, a blend of muted chatter and laughter filled the air, reminding me of those earlier family gatherings that had both nurtured and betrayed me. I stepped inside, steeling myself against the uncertainty swirling within. "Amanda!" I greeted her with feigned enthusiasm, masking the tension that simmered beneath. She turned, her eyes narrowing as if sensing the storm brewing inside me. "Eleanor, how lovely you could make it," she replied, her words dripping with false sincerity, a devilish grin spreading across her face. "Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world," I said, graciously dismissing her casual disdain. As the evening unfolded, I monitored her interactions with family members, absorbing the undercurrents of tension and nervous glances cast her way. I felt power shift within the room, like changing tides coaxed by a distant storm. When the moment felt right, I rallied courage and called the family to gather around, my voice steady and resolute as I prepared to unveil the truth that had been hidden under the veil of deceit. "I have something important to share," I announced, all eyes turning toward me. "It's about the mismanagement of our family assets and how one person has taken advantage of our love for their own ambitions. Are you enjoying this journey with me? Show your support by sending super stickers. Your fun contributions keep this channel alive and help me bring you more stories of resilience and justice." This was it, the moment of reckoning. A hush fell over the gathering as I steadied my nerves, feeling the weight of familial history pressing down upon me like an unbearable anchor. Faces, once filled with laughter and warmth, now turned toward me, awaiting the truth I was about to spill. My heart danced against my ribs, but I couldn't back down now. "I know you all love Amanda," I began, my voice unwavering despite the tremor in my heart. "But what I am about to reveal concerns the integrity of our family." Amanda's grin faltered, an edge of curiosity mixed with unease creeping into her expression. The murmurs in the room dissipated, replaced by an uneasy tension that wrapped itself around all of us. There was no turning back. The truth was about to unearth its roots. I found discrepancies in the assets tied to my husband's estate. Money misappropriated, properties hidden, decisions made behind closed doors, unannounced to the rest of us. I searched the faces of my family for an ally, but I only saw shock. Having learned of these actions, I can only conclude that one person is behind them. My gaze locked onto Amanda's, my thoughts narrowing into focus. This time, I would not be intimidated. "Amanda, you have orchestrated a long game, haven't you? Planning to pull the proverbial rug out from under me, to strip my legacy and turn it into your benefit." Gasps echoed off the walls, and murmurs rippled through the crowd as my words hung in the air, heavy with consequence. I am not here to cause drama. I am here to reclaim my place and to protect the family our loved ones built. Amanda shook her head, disbelief flashing across her face, an almost theatrical rendition of innocence. "Eleanor, this is outrageous. How could you accuse me of such a thing? You're just grasping at straws, living in the past. What will your children think? What will everyone think?" I could sense the pushback coming, but I held firm. "Oh, sweet Amanda, it's not about me anymore. It's about our family and ensuring that my grandchildren inherit what is rightfully theirs, what their grandfather worked so hard to build." The tension in the room thickened. Faces softened and hardened. Emotions played out like a symphony of disbelief and anger. I held my ground as whispers began to entwine with anxious energy. Then a voice broke through the din. My son, Michael, stepped forward, concern etching his features. "Mom, what are you saying? Is this true?" His voice held a pinch of disbelief, but I could sense the shifting undercurrents in his heart, the fading trust in what he thought he knew. "Michael, I have evidence," I replied, my heart racing. "Mr. Henderson has been helping me dig into the estate's past, and everything points back to Amanda's manipulation. If you'll only listen." With that, I handed him the carefully organized files I had compiled, each page representative of the story I was telling. The atmosphere crackled as he skimmed through the documents, and each passing second felt like an eternity. He looked up, confusion playing on his face, but there was also a flicker of something else, understanding. "What does this mean?" he finally asked, wrestling with the role he had to play in this family drama. "It means Amanda has been operating under the pretense of family while plotting to entangle us in her ambitions," I insisted. "I want to discuss this openly now, so we can devise a plan moving forward that will protect everyone, especially the children." The tension in the room shifted. My family was not merely witnesses but participants in the unfolding narrative. I could feel their skepticism melting slightly alongside the fear that had gripped them. This is not about destroying anyone's reputation, but rather ensuring that my grandchildren are protected from deception. I continued, my voice steady. "To claim what is legally and morally theirs." "And how do you propose we go about this?" Michael asked, his expression now focused and intent. I felt a swell of hope surge within me, invigorating my resolve. "Mr. Henderson has offered his legal expertise. We must involve him in confronting Amanda with this information. We will need to expose the truth and let the family decide what to do next. No one deserves to go through this small-mindedness in secrecy." "You can't seriously be thinking of doing this," Amanda interjected, her sharp voice cutting through the thick air. "This is absurd. You're tearing our family apart for what? Revenge?" "Stop," I replied, my eyes narrowing at her. "It's not revenge, it's accountability. You might manage to hide this for now, but the truth will come out. You should know this well enough." "Don't be ridiculous," she spat back, her previously confident demeanor cracking. "You're too old to be playing these games, Eleanor. Just because you were cast aside doesn't mean you have to destroy everyone else." I took a deep breath, holding on to my strength as the rest of the family began to murmur amongst themselves. "Isn't that precisely why this needs to be dealt with?" I replied. "You've underestimated me for too long, Amanda, but from this moment on, I will be a mother and a grandmother who fights for her family." Michael nodded slowly, his resolve solidifying. "If what you're saying is true, then we need to pursue it together as a family. Amanda, this isn't just about you anymore." I turned to my family, who were processing the revelations intensively. "Let's act wisely and confront this situation. We'll need to meet with Mr. Henderson this week and outline our defense strategy." The murmurs turned to agreement. I felt the shift as they could see the road ahead, illuminated by the truth. "Let's not dismiss this," I urged them. "With careful planning and teamwork, we can bring this matter to light delicately." Did you feel that sense of justice? If this story moved you, show your appreciation by clicking the "Thanks a lot" button. Super thanks. Your generous support keeps this channel going and helps me bring you more stories of courage and triumph. Together we were ready to take a stand, not only for my husband's legacy, but for the inherent strength of family, ready to challenge the deceit that threatened our bonds. The days leading up to our meeting with Mr. Henderson were a blend of urgency and anxiety. The unity within my family felt fragile, yet necessary. Together, we would face Amanda's manipulation head-on. The atmosphere was thick with expectancy as I prepared to stand my ground, determined to reclaim my rightful place in this family. As we gathered in Michael's living room, tension coiled around us, almost palpable. I took in the anxious expressions of my children, seeing Michael's brow furrowed in deep thought and Sarah clutching her daughter, her eyes reflecting uncertainty. My own heart raced, but I drew strength from them, from the weight of family love ignited by the truth I was about to reveal. When Mr. Henderson arrived, his presence was calm yet resolute. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his gaze sweeping over the room. "Today, We'll discuss significant discrepancies in the estate that must be addressed without reservation." As Amanda entered, she wore a mask of confidence that felt exaggerated, her eyes surveying the room as though she were inspecting her territory. "Good to see you, Mr. Henderson," she said cheerfully, masking the tension beneath her surface. "Glad you could join us, Amanda," he replied, maintaining a professional demeanor. "I'd like to address several concerns that Eleanor has raised regarding the management of family assets." An unsettling quiet descended as the words hung in the air. I could sense Amanda's facade wavering, her bravado starting to crack. "What concerns?" she asked, her tone slightly defensive. "Amanda, we've discovered discrepancies involving money and properties that have been mismanaged for personal gain," I asserted, taking a bold step. "This needs to be exposed, not hidden under layers of deceit." Gasps of disbelief rippled through the room, shock replacing the previous confidence. I could see Michael stiffen beside me, the realization sinking in. Amanda's features twisted into a mixture of anger and disbelief. "This is absurd. You're tearing our family apart over baseless accusations. How can you do this?" "Because it's the truth," I shot back, my voice steady despite her counterattacks. "I am fighting for my grandchildren's future. I will not allow you to take our legacy and distort it for your own whims." Her anger flared, but there was fear beneath it. "You think you can just disrupt everything I've built?" she spat, struggling to maintain her composure. "You're nothing more than a bitter woman trying to tear this family apart." I pressed forward, knowing that for every accusation she flung, my resolve needed to be stronger. "This isn't about bitterness, it's about accountability. You've taken advantage of our trust and love, and that ends today." Michael stepped in, his tone firm but supportive. "Mom, if these allegations are true, we need to address them as a family. This isn't just about Amanda anymore. It's about all of us." Surprised glances exchanged among us ignited a new sense of clarity, a united front. "We need to meet with Mr. Henderson and discuss a strategy," I continued, gauging their reactions. "We deserve transparency, and if Amanda is innocent, then she has nothing to fear." Her composure wavered, but she tried to regain control. "You're all making a huge mistake," she declared, but her voice lacked conviction. "You have no idea what this could do to our family." "What could hurt more than hiding the truth?" I replied, my heart pounding with the intensity of the moment. "You're holding on to lies, Amanda. When did deception become so valuable to you?" Mr. Henderson interjected, his professional tone cutting through the tension. "Amanda, if you genuinely believe you have nothing to hide, then help us clarify these allegations. Share your records. Let's uncover the truth." I saw a flicker of uncertainty cross her face. "You're all against me. I can't believe you would do this." "It's not about being against you. It's about protecting our future," I reiterated, grounding my conviction with the love that connected us as a family. "We're prepared to face this together, but we cannot stand by and let manipulation dictate our lives." In that moment, the dynamic in the room shifted. Uncertainty hung in the air as Amanda's defenses crumbled, reflection creeping into her eyes. "You don't know what you're doing," she mumbled, desperation now coloring her voice. "It's time to stop running from the truth," I said, the urgency and passion in my tone palpable. "We can either tear each other apart, or we can face this together as a family. Which will it be?" The room fell silent, the weight of my words resonating in every corner. It was Amanda's moment to choose: further deception or an honest attempt at reconciliation. My family remained poised, shoulders squared, ready to unite behind whichever decision she made. Finally, she took a deep breath, and for a brief moment, I saw an opening for honesty. I just didn't think you would find out. I thought I could handle it," she whispered, her bravado fracturing in the face of reality. "Then let's handle it. Together," I urged gently. "Don't you see we can still repair what's been broken? If you truly love this family, let's rebuild it on truth, not deceit." What would you have done in my situation? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. As we stood at this crossroads, ready to confront the truth, I could feel hope creeping back into our family. We were at the edge of reclaiming our legacy, and together we would pave the way for a more honest, united future. Silence enveloped us as we waited for Amanda's response. The tension in the air was palpable, the uncertainty thick enough to cut. I saw a flicker of vulnerability in Amanda's eyes, a crack in her bravado. "I can't believe you would do this," she murmured, her voice trembling. "It's not about tearing you down. It's about protecting our family," I replied, grounding my voice in love and conviction. "Together we can face this, but we must stop letting secrets dictate our lives." A small glimmer of hope sparkled within me. It's time to face the truth. We can either tear each other apart, or we can confront this as a family. The room was charged with expectation. It was Amanda's moment to choose: continue the deception or take steps toward reconciliation. My children's faces reflected a mixture of hope and fear. Finally, Amanda took a deep breath. "I thought I could handle this alone," she confessed, her bravado slipping. "I was afraid of what you'd think." "Then let's tackle it together," I urged gently, reaching out to her. "If you truly love this family, we can rebuild on truth, not deceit." Reluctantly, she nodded. "Okay, I'll show you everything, but you have to promise this won't destroy our family." I felt a swell of relief wash over me. "We promise. We just want transparency first, and from there, we'll find our way back to each other." As we sifted through the documents Amanda had hidden in her office, the weight I had carried began to lift. Each page she revealed unleashed a mix of anger and sadness, yet I could feel the possibility of healing taking root. That evening, once the last paper had been laid bare, a sense of accomplishment filled the air, albeit tinged with a nervous energy. "Thank you for being brave," I said, looking intently into Amanda's eyes. "It's just the beginning," she replied, her tone cautiously optimistic. "I don't want to lose any of you." Days turned into weeks, and the initial shock began to fade, replaced by a renewed sense of possibility. Family dinners no longer held tension. They thrummed with laughter as we shared stories and burdens alike. The atmosphere morphed from anxiety to warmth, fostering connections that had lain dormant too long. Amanda worked tirelessly to reconstruct her practices, ensuring no corners were cut as we righted the financial mismanagement of our family's estate. It wasn't easy, but she sought my guidance, along with Michael and Sarah's support, wanting to make confidence a priority. Mr. Henderson became our ally, guiding us through the reconciliation process. Each meeting heralded a budding certainty, planting seeds of reassurance. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the windows, I watched my grandchildren play, and a profound realization settled in. Our family, once entangled in deception, was beginning to flourish anew, a testament to resilience. "Look at them," I said, gesturing to the joyful chaos. "This is what we were fighting for, a legacy of love." Amanda stood beside me, her gaze softening as she took in the scene. "Thank you for not giving up on me," she said quietly, her expression a mix of gratitude and resolve. "Family is worth fighting for," I replied, feeling the warmth of connection pulse between us. "Let's cherish this new beginning." In that moment, I recognized our collective journey, a tale woven with resilience, love, and truth. We stood together at the threshold of a brighter future, ready to embrace what lay ahead. My story doesn't end here. If you want to see what happens next, follow this channel and leave a like. Your support means everything. Together, we had overcome the shadows of betrayal, planting the seeds of a new life defined by honesty and love. The future felt promising, a testament to the unbreakable bonds of family. They thought they had left me with nothing.